Today we're going to be talking about the 7 places I lived. That's going to be Wyoming, England, Maryland, Colorado, Hawaii, California, and Nevada. So let's get started. Welcome to The Bold Encourager. I'm Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It just allows for me to get my positive, encouraging messages out to everyone. So today we're going to be talking about the 7 places I lived. Yes, I lived in 7 different places, and I'm kind of going to go through the timeline and talk about the good, the bad, and the things I learned from all these different places. I think you can learn something from every place you live, even if you don't like it. And honestly, it's awesome just experiencing new cultures, new places, and knowing more about them. So the first place I lived was Wyoming. I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I only lived there till I was 1. So there's not much I could tell you about Wyoming. I just wanted to go over every place I've ever lived. But what I loved about Wyoming is it's my birthplace. And it's a place known to be like very outdoorsy, and I'm an outdoorsy person. I would say probably it's kind of smaller. There's not a lot to do out there. I haven't been back since I was born, so I definitely need to go out there just to see like my birthplace, go to Cheyenne, Wyoming. My dad was in the Air Force, so after that 1 year of living in Wyoming, we moved to England. And we were there for 9 years till I was 10 years old. So I had a little bit more experience in England for sure. It's one of the places I've lived the longest. My favorite things about England, I would definitely say the castles, the culture, the cathedrals. We got to go to the Queen's summer home for like field trips and different castles, so that was exciting. And then to be able to go to Scotland and Wales because it's so close by, and how green it was, I loved that about England. The only drawback is in England, the food isn't that great, but I did have a few dishes that I liked from there, and the weather wasn't that great either because it's always cold and rainy, but that's why you get the green grass and stuff. And I loved the greenery part of it, but yeah, we didn't get to go out and do a lot of outdoorsy things because the weather wasn't the greatest there, but I did enjoy having those experiences, learning so much. I got that experience. The foods I did enjoy there are beans on toast, believe it or not. I really enjoyed that. And then I also enjoyed fish and chips, of course. Who doesn't enjoy fish and chips unless you don't like seafood? And then of course rhubarb pie. So and Yorkshire pudding. It's kind of like a roll, but not a lot of stuff. I'd say their chocolates are probably the best for kind of snack to get because the chocolates are a lot better, I feel like, in Europe than they are in America. So that was really great about that place. And I mean, I learned so much from living there. And so I got to go to Holland and have this, but before Nutella was big in the United States, we put it on toast with sprinkles in Holland. So my first experience with Nutella was many years ago. I'm 40, and I got to try that when I was a little kid. Second place I lived was Maryland. So Maryland was amazing for the fact that you got all the season, and it was awesome, but it was very humid. So that was one thing I didn't like. But I would say that the things I did love about Maryland was being able to go up to visit like Pennsylvania, New York, and also driving to Virginia and like going to all these amusement parks and the beaches and everything. So I loved that about Maryland. Of course, I enjoyed the seafood there too. The seafood was amazing. You have to definitely have a bushel of crabs when you go to Maryland because they are the best by far. There is no seafood like that. You definitely have to do that. And then boardwalk fries. Oh my gosh, so good there. I would say the things I didn't like is the humidity, as I mentioned. And I didn't like when it was really cold, when the weather got really cold. It was really destructive sometimes. There's like hailstorms and stuff. New to understand what it is to have great seafood. I also learned how to understand that there is a lot of culture in the East Coast. I mean, there's so much history in the East Coast, more than the West Coast, let's be real. But it's just really interesting to have that experience and go I went to field trips to the White House and the monument and everything. So other great field trips there, and learning about the history of the United States. And I was there from when I was 10 to about 15. Then when I was 15, I moved to Colorado. So Colorado was a whole nother ballgame. The weather, there wasn't really 4 seasons. There's really pretty much just summer and winter. So I would say that the things I loved about it was the outdoorsy part of Colorado. Colorado is amazing for outdoor activities. You're getting to see the mountains. There's, of course, skiing, snowboarding. I was never a really good skier or snowboarder, but I loved Garden of the Gods when I lived out there, walking around it, experiencing the beautiful red rocks, going and being able to hike in really great places. I'd say is really great about Colorado. What I do like about it, I would say, is definitely the outdoorsy part about it. Growing up there, what I didn't like about it is there's only 2 seasons, winter and summer, and then the summer's super short, so there's a lot more winter, and you just don't know what you're gonna get. It's like cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and there just wasn't as many like weather experiences as there was in the East Coast. So that was what kind of was the damper about living in Colorado. And I would always have to like get out of my car and take all the snow off and everything. Colorado food. I don't know if there's anything specialty-wise with Colorado. There was a time that I tried Rocky Mountain oysters. And if you don't know what that is, it's cow balls. And it didn't taste bad at all, surprisingly. You don't even know that they are. They taste just like eating chicken, of course. And it was interesting. It wasn't bad though. It was good. It tasted good. But yeah, not everybody likes the idea of eating those though. There's a lot of great restaurants in Colorado. When you go closer to Denver, we first lived in Colorado Springs, and then my sister moved to more closer to the Denver area. And I would say whenever I visit her, she always takes me to great restaurants. There's a lot of great foods like you can try. It's become a little bit more like California when it comes to having American contemporary places to eat. So there are a lot of great places to eat out there. I just can't think of a thing that's like the specialty of Colorado that I was like grew up with or anything like that. I just can only think of Rocky Mountain oysters, and I just feel like it's has a lot of options when it comes to food. So that's a good plus about it. And it's definitely grown so much from when I lived there. As a kid, it was a lot more slow pace, and now it's super busy. And the thing that I learned from there was I was there from when I was 15 to 20. So it really kind of was the foundation of me being a teenager, a young adult. I started going to school out there. I went to college I went to community college. It was Pikes Peak Community College, and it was just a great experience. And it is still a place that I can go to because my family still lives there. My mom, my sister live out there. So I do really enjoy going out to Colorado for visits and everything. But yeah, it was a great experience, and there are things that I liked and I didn't like, just like everywhere else. Then after Colorado, I moved to Hawaii. I was 20 years old when I moved to Hawaii, and I was there till I was 25. I went to University of Hawaii in Pearl City, and I really enjoyed that experience. I made a lot of great friends. I had a really fun experience. The great thing about Hawaii is the weather is always great. There's no real seasons there, but it makes it so you can do something every day outside because the weather it's humid, but not as humid as the East Coast. But it is humid, but it is a nice warmth, and even when it rains, it's still warm. So I love that. And when you go into the water, it's like the bath water. The water is so warm, and it was just like nice to sink your feet into it. Of course, you gotta love the food in Hawaii. There's a lot of Asian food, and I love Asian food, so I miss a lot of the Asian food that I got to have there. I would say I definitely love spam musubi, and you might think it's gross, but it's really good. Trust me, they cook it in teriyaki. Believe it or not, spam musubi is life, and it is amazing. And then shaved ice and poke. Of course, poke is like raw fish. It's sushi, but they make it and they do it seared and everything. I was always like kind of iffy about eating sushi before I moved to Hawaii. Like, it took baby steps, and it was so fresh, so good. It was perfect. So I definitely learned to love sushi in Hawaii. I loved that. That was definitely a learning experience for me. Things I didn't love about Hawaii, I would say that it's really hard when it comes to like shipping things, because when you ship your car over, you got to put it on a boat when you want to come back to the mainland, and it's a pain in the butt, and it costs a lot of money to bring it back. So when I had to ship my car out to California, oh my goodness, it cost so much money to ship it, and it took a while before I could get it because I couldn't afford to bring it over yet. So that was the kind of thing, and it's, you can't really just like drive across state lines like you can on the other states in Hawaii. You have to either take it's going to be a long boat ride. So most likely you're probably going to take a plane. It was nice being able to drive everywhere. Everywhere is super close. But you do kind of miss the ability to drive long distance if you wanted to. And now, it used to be not as crowded, but now it just keeps getting crowded in Hawaii, and it's such a small island, it feels like super crowded. So I learned a lot from living there, and I was there from 20 to 25, my early 20s, and it was a great experience, and I had a lot of fun. And then, 25, I moved to California. So first I was in LA County area for a couple years, maybe a year and a half to 2 years, and then moved to Orange County. What was great about California was you had the great weather, you had the beaches, you had the mountains, so you could do a lot of different activities, and I loved that. I would say the downfall is everybody loves that. So it was super crowded. It was like probably the most crowded anywhere. So much traffic, sucked driving in those areas, and it was just a lot of anywhere you went. There's a lot of crowds, and sometimes you just want the peace. And I like small towns, like easygoing. So it was really not my speed of things. I like to, enjoy life, have an easygoing life. Hawaii was all about family, love, and I forgot to mention that, but that was another great thing about it. Everybody was about family and love, and saying hi to everybody and holding the door open for everybody. California was like a huge difference for me because I had to adjust. When I moved there, I was trying to say hi to everybody, hold the door open to everybody, and a lot of people thought, what do you want? And it was weirded out by me. So that was another thing that was a downfall. Like, everybody questions your motives because they're not sure if you're trustworthy or not. So that really was a hard part of living in California. And I lived there for a long time, the longest I've lived anywhere. I lived there from when I was 25 to 37. Yep, 37 I left to come to Nevada. So 25 to 37, that's a big chunk of my life. I learned a lot in California. I learned a lot about me and what I wanted for my life, where I wanted to retire. I wanted to be in a place that was a lot less trafficky and not so overwhelming. I loved the food in California. There's so many places to eat. There's so many restaurants, so many Asian restaurants, so many Mexican restaurants, any kind of restaurants you could think of. There's so many places to visit. As like a weekend, you could go to Palm Springs, you could go to San Diego if you wanted to get away. There were so many places to go in the nearby. If you wanted to go to the mountains, you could go to Big Bear. So you can do pretty much anything in California. Once again, the drawback is everybody likes that too, so it's super crowded. 37. I'm ready to get a house. I can't afford a house. Another drawback of living in California, it's so expensive. You can't get your own home. You have to live in an apartment, which is super expensive, and to what you would pay for a mortgage, you pay for a small, tiny apartment in California. So that was another thing that was a downfall about California. And I was ready to have my own house, along with my husband. He was ready too. So we, flew out to Nevada, northern Nevada, to look around, and we found our perfect home out here. and we love it out here. The good things about Nevada is it has a lot of the nature, like how Colorado did, like off-road, things we love to do, camping. It's just a lot of outdoorsy things out here. But they also have kind of similar weather to Colorado, where it's the 4 seasons. Yeah, we still have the 4 seasons, but it gets super windy out here, super cold in the winters, and you got summer and spring, but the weather is very unpredictable. You could have one warm day and the next day it's super cold. It's just up and down, up and down. But I do love the fact that we live in a small town, and I love that about it, and that we have the house of our dreams, and it's everything we've ever wanted. So in a house, which we would never have gotten anywhere else. And then I would say that the drawback is sometimes the weather. It's not crowded here. That's great too. I love that about it. But there's not a lot of activities. There's not a lot of restaurants that I like. There's not a lot of Asian food out here. That's the problem. And so the food is not the greatest place. Like, they don't have the greatest food places. They do have some decent Mexican places, which I love about it. And I do love that we're so close to Lake Tahoe, and I love Lake Tahoe. It's super beautiful. But definitely not the food places that we had, the choices we had in these other places. Living out here has taught me, though, to like have contentment with the quiet life and not be so busy and restless, because I feel like I was always so busy and always on the go, never really sat down and enjoyed like the quiet and the stillness of life. So I love living in Nevada, northern Nevada, for that reason. It probably is totally different in Vegas than it is out here, but we are living the slow life out here, and I've learned to love it. So the food that I would say, I mean, I haven't tried it, but I've heard that Indian bread's very popular out here, and maybe like there's like big burgers they have out here that people love. So those are places that you could probably experience with that you would like for food wise. And there's a lot of casinos. There's tons of casinos, and I feel like if you go to a casino, you can get a good meal for a really low price. So that's another great aspect of it. But I'm learning to enjoy life in the quiet and not be so busy. And I've enjoyed life all at these different places, and I feel like I wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out so much. Also, if you haven't followed me on social media, please follow me on social media. The links will be down below. And every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will post a new fun video, and you don't want to miss it, so go ahead and hit that notification bell. Well, I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope you stay encouraged.